How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investments. So I figured I'd do something kind of interesting today. So CovrPrice came out with this list of everything that sold in 2021 as far as what they gathered in data. And I'm going to go through like basically the top 10 of like the number one sold comic by units, then by like dollar amount and the variants and all sorts of stuff. There's a ton on this list. I recommend checking it out. If you want, I have a promo code because a lot of people ask me what I use. CovrPrice, I use them all, but CovrPrice is one that I generally like their layout. Promo code, you get 2 months of CovrPrice Unlimited for only $1.99. Use my code Collectors Comics. But yeah, so I thought this would be interesting to go through. I found it pretty cool. So in 2021, they tracked about 3 million comics, which collectively represented over $130 million in sales. That's double the number of the 2020 of $75 million. So that's pretty crazy how much it went up. So yeah, let's just get right into it. All right, here's the comics that sold the most units. This is graded, raw, combined, everything. So the first one on this list was at number 10 was Spiderman 361 First Appearance of Carnage. Like this book there's so many, right? Total units is sold 1,099. Let's see if I can move. Yeah, you can see me. Okay. 1,099. Total sales was just in this comic alone sold $463,000 worth of comics. That is an insane amount of First Carnage. Wow. Number 9, we got Venom Lethal Protector, obviously. It sold 1,172 units. Total sales was $64,000 worth of Venom Lethal Protector. These comics, they were at such high printings back in the day. There are so many of them out there. So that's how they turn over a ton of them, like that many. Next at 8, we got, no surprise here, Eternals number 1 sold 1,305 units, which came to a total of 412,000. Still not as high as this Spider-Man 361, but still a lot. Now, number 7, we got Ultimate Fallout 4, First Appearance of Miles Morales, sold 1,371 units, which came to a total of 1,400,000. Again, this is going by units. So the dollar amount doesn't really matter for this section. I'll do that one later. But this is about units sold. Wow. Number 6, we got Moon Knight number 1. This sold 1,376, came to $190,000 of value. Most of these books are going to be all those spec buys and probably like what's hot now as in terms of TV shows, movies, character stuff like that. Number 5, we got Spider-Man Unlimited number 1, selling 1,483, came to a total of 63,000. I don't know why this is number 5 on this list. I mean, I guess if you couldn't afford Lethal Protector or Carnage, the first Carnage, that's just odd to me. But the sad thing is, most of this book here over time will go down to basically where it was 2 years ago. Pretty much nearly worthless. Spider-Man number 99 comes to the 4th spot, and this is 1,538 units, totaling 74,000, which is just kind of crazy. With this book in particular, it has the harder cover, which makes it easier to stay in a better grade. So there's just going to be a lot. And during this 92, that was during the comic boom when they're printing like millions and millions of copies of everything, right? The only, what was the biggest comic book last year was King Spawn sold 500,000. Most of the time they sell, like a Spider-Man comic sells maybe 100,000 copies. The only time a comic sells above 100,000 copies is if it's some kind of number 1 or where they do a bunch of variant covers. Because in order to get the variant covers, the comic shop has, I get the 1 in 100 variant. Well, I have to order 100 of the normal. So that kind of happens. The comics these days don't sell nearly that much. Like, Your average book is going to be in like the 30 to 50,000 copies range. So that's actually kind of rare. All right, next we got X-Men 4. There's a lot of spec of, Omega Red appearing in something and never happened. Like I always say, you can't trust the rumors. Wait till you actually have some hard facts, because this kind of falls in line with Mephisto. Tons of spec that this guy's going to show up. Oh, it's for certain. I don't even know how these rumors get started, like, to be honest. Like, where do they, like, is it just someone on Reddit? Oh, I work with, the producer of the show, and they said that this, or I write for the show. I don't even know how it happens. Like, does it happen from people like me, YouTubers? They're like, oh, yeah, I heard through the grapevine that this character is going to show up, and then people just run with it, and then it just, that's the thing. It's like, you have to find out what the source is that's saying it, and then take it with a grain of salt. Because I know, like, a lot of people will jump on these specs and these rumors hoping that, like, Santa Claus, oh my gosh, that thing bugs me every single time. I forget what it was, like Marvel Superhero Christmas Edition or something like that, where, James Gunn, for Guardians 3, is it 3? He's like, oh, it's going to be a character you always wanted but you never knew would show up, and everyone jumped on thinking it was going to be Santa Claus. So the first time Santa Claus became a mutant or something, it was like some 90s comic book or something, who knows. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's where your mind goes, Santa Claus? Ugh, watch me be wrong. But no, I don't think so. It's just like, you have to see where these, like me, when I was like, okay, why is Santa Claus popping up all of a sudden? And I look at the source, and I'm like, this is where you got your information from. From here, from this tweet saying this, and that's the conclusion you got to, enough for who knows who. I have no idea who it was. It had to be like one person or a couple people that, like, all agreed that this is the book to get and started pushing this book somehow. Like, because if I saw the tweet before anyone else saw the tweet, I would look at it and go, I would never have guessed Santa Claus in a billion, trillion years. I don't even know who I would have guessed. Someone I would always want to see but never saw it in a Guardians movie. I have no idea. It could be anyone, right? Not Santa Claus, that's for sure. So someone had to read that and interpret it that it was going to be Santa Claus. So I don't know. Like, then check the source of the person that's interpreting and pushing these books. Because I just feel bad for those people that bought those books. Like, unless you like Santa Claus, go ahead. I mean, buy what you love. That's the point of comics. But, if you're buying this to either flip to make money or to get in before the price gets too high, I don't know. I tell how it is. Sorry, rant over. I'm sure there'll be more rants. All right, next we got number 2 on this list. Spider-Man 365. This is a preview of Spider-Man 2099. A lot of people argue with me in the comics and the comment section. Oh, how is this the first appearance and it's not a cameo like Hulk 180 and 181? Well, in Hulk 180, you had one panel of Wolverine. So that's a cameo. Like, if you have like a page or something, it's a little different. So, yeah, that's how I look at it. Anyways, total units, 1755, came to a total of 108,000. And number 1, Spawn, number 1. So units sold 1957, came to a total of 156,000. With these books, I still think Spawn is a good get. I put it on my list of like 25 keys under $100 or something like that. I don't know what it's worth now in a 9.8. Maybe it's a 9.6 that I put it on there. The issue with Spawn number 1 is it had a massive printing. Massive printing. So if you're going to get Spawn 1, get a 9.8. Please, get a 9.8. They're not too expensive. You got to front some money. If you have to go a little lower, get a 9.6. Anything below that, don't even bother. Don't even bother, right? I think Spawn is it's still ongoing. The series still continues. Todd McFarlane, by the time our great grandkids are, 80 years old, he'll have come out with his movie. His script will be finally finished, and the movie will be done, ready to go. So by then, probably have gone up 10 cents. I'm tired, so it's like a mood. But yeah, so I still think it's a good buy. I mean, it's Spawn 1. It's pretty good cover. Todd McFarlane. So if it came out in 92, it would have been like my generation. So I'm mid-30s. So yeah, I think by the time people are my age that would have grown up with Spawn are going to be in their late 40s, early 50s, they're going to have a lot more money. They're going to be buying up this stuff, and they're going to be spending more. It was a high print run, but there's a lot of people my age that were collecting comics. I can't say the same for, Gen Zers, whatever they're called. The next generation is beyond me. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of like a list. It boils down to Spawn. Let's see. Spawn in 2019 was on the 3rd of the list. So this is always selling. So that's cool. All right. These are variants. I would say if you want to check this list out yourself. I'm not going to do every single one. There's tons. This is like secondary printings, newsstands. Yeah, Spawn 1 newsstand. If you can get that, get the newsstand. It's much more rare. There's 207 units sold, 65,000. Much more rare. It's definitely any chance you can make what you have more rare and still have the same desire. So, for example, Spawn 1 versus Spawn 1 newsstand still has the same pull, right? It's still the first appearance of Spawn. Todd McFarlane, Image, all that kind of stuff. If you can make it more rare by getting a newsstand, sure, why not? That just helps its chances getting a little more money. I honestly do not know how newsstands are going to fare long term. As in 10 years from now, are they going to be desired? They were like all the rage like a year ago, and they've kind of settled down a little bit. I think the reason why they're all the rage is because people didn't understand and they thought they were just super rare. And it turns out it has to do with what year they were made. Newsstands in the 80s, early 80s are not rare at all because that's most comics were still in the newsstands compared to the comic shops, which would be the direct edition. Once you get into the early 90s, they become more rare, but they're still readily available. I would say once you get up to the early 2000s is when they get super rare. And then I don't think they make them anymore. That'd be weird. Yeah, they definitely don't make it. I don't know when they stopped. Probably late 2000s is when they stopped with the whole newsstand thing. And just went straight direct. I don't really know. But I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know how newsstands are going to be because it's kind of like a new thing. No one cared about newsstands 2 years ago. No one. It wasn't even a thing. So it's kind of a new thing in the collecting field to make your book a little more rare. I don't know how it'll be. My gut feeling is they will be slightly more than the regular direct editions, like slightly, like a 10%, maybe a 20% jump. Ones that are super rare, like if you have ones in like the early 2000s, I could see them commanding a lot more. Or it all comes down to if CGC and the census decide to notate. Because right now you'll look up a book and it'll be like, 100 copies at a 9.8. Well, how many of them are newsstands? It comes down to the rarity, supply and demand. I had this book. Okay, story time. I had this book. It was Sandman from Vertigo. I want to say 14. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was one where they had a recalled edition and then they had the normal edition. And I had a 9.8 of the normal edition. And I put it up for, I want to say like $1,500. And this guy emailed me and he's like, why do you have it up for $1,500 when a recalled edition will only sell for like 600. And I go, well, it's supply and demand. Go on eBay right now. How many 9/8 do you see? Oh, there's like 5 9/8. How many of them are regular editions and how many of them are recalled? They're all recalled editions except for yours, which is the non-recalled edition. I'm like, cool. All right, go on the census. How many recalled 9/8 do you see versus how many non-recalled 9/8 do you see? And I was like, if you go on there, there's 2 non-recalled editions, mine and someone else's. How many recalled are there? 14, 15, 18 of the recalled edition. Just because it's recalled does not mean that it's more rare. In fact, with this book, it's actually more rare to have the non-recalled edition. And it just works out that way sometimes. And I explain this guy over and over. Like, look, mine is more rare, so I can command more value. And he's like, no. He's like, it's funny. He's like, I'll give you $200. I was like, no, thank you. And then a week later, he's like, okay. I'll give you $400, but it's like only because I need it for my collection and blah, blah. I was like, no. I was like, I want my $1,500. And he's like, you're insane, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, fine, I'll give you the same price as like the recalled edition 9/8 goes for. And I was like, no, I don't want it. He's like, this is insane. You're charging, you want to take the price for basically a more rare variant, or actually the more rare variant, which he thought was the recalled. I was like, sorry. And so like he went back, he would come back every like month and raise his price like $100. And I would say, nope. And then I think I had the book for like 5 months, and then someone came up and bought it full price. I'm like, I'm in this industry. This is what I do for a living. Don't tell me how much books are worth. I know what they're worth. People do that all the time. I have even dealers. They'll call me and like, oh, you price your books way too high. And I'm like, I'll give you this just because I'm helping you out. And I'm like, uh-huh. And like I have a copy right here that's nicer than yours, and I would sell it for less than that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, this is the price I want. Oh, you'll never get it. And I get it because I know what they're worth. That's my job. All right. It's easy to know what a book is worth when you have a lot of data, like on a Spiderman 361, right? There's so much data on there. It's easy. But when you get to ones that are rare, there's only a couple sold, or maybe there's only 1 or 2 on eBay in random grades. Like that's when it takes someone like me who's an expert who knows this field and knows how to price accordingly. Because you price it too high, sits for the rest of your life. Price it too low, gone in a day. So you have to find that nice happy medium. All right, there's another lesson. Here we go. Highest sales volume, graded and raw. All right, these are the big boys. We got Spider-Man number 1 at the 10th spot. Units sold 78. Think about that. All of 2021, only 78 raw and graded copies of Spider-Man number 1 sold. It valued at $1.2 million, which is interesting because Ultimate Fallout 4 sold more in sales dollars than this one. And this one only sold 78. All right, number 9, we got First Punisher, Spider-Man 129. Units sold was 496, totaling 1.269 million. Here we go. Ultimate Fallout 4 takes the 8th spot at 1,371 units and sold for $1.4 million. Number 7, Daredevil number 1. I wonder if we'll have any DC on this list. What do we have? Marvel, Spider-Man, Daredevil. Half this list is going to be Spider-Man. So far we got 3 Spider-Man. Okay, Daredevil number 1, 177 units, totaling almost $1.7 million. All right, number 6, we got Xmen number 1, 130 units, totaling $2.4 million. Number 5, Giant Size X-Men number 1, 502 units, totaling almost $2.6 million. Let's see if I can guess the rest. All right, we're going to have Fantasy 15. We're going to have Hulk 181. Ooh, what else are we going to have? Avengers 1. Okay, that's 3. I need 2 more. Two more. Well, who haven't we done? That's been a big key. This is all. This includes Golden Age. Ooh, Action number 1. Ooh, no, wait. How many actions sold? I think only 1. Take that back. Batman number 1. So FF15, I think FF15 will be number 1, or Hulk 181 will be number 1. I think we got what was I said the other one was? Avengers number 1. I think Avengers number 1 will be on there. Batman number 1. I need one more. Dang. I'm trying to think how many Detective 27 sold. I don't think enough. Captain America ones, no. Maybe an action one. As long as there's 2 action ones that sold, because I know one sold at the end of the year. I don't know if they calculated that in. I'm going to go with action number 1. So that's what I'm going to go with. All right, what do we got? Number 4. Oh, Batman number 1. Sweet. All right, 7 units. Wow, I didn't know it was that many. 7 units of Batman 1, totaling $2.6 million. Think how little units had to sell. 7 of these or a bazillion of these. Next we got, in the third spot, I thought it'd be 2 or 1. 484 units of Hulk 181, totaling almost $3 million. Wow, $3 million of Hulk 181s went out the door. Okay, let's see what number 2 is. Action Comics number 1. All right, we got units sold, only 2, right? I remember there's 1. I wasn't sure if there's another one that sold. Think about it, just 2. In the whole year. 2. That's why they command so much money, because they're so rare. Anyone that has one isn't selling one. So when they do, they go for a bazillion dollars. It's like, you got a 0.5, covers literally ripped into a bazillion pieces. They're selling on Comic Connect pieces of the pages. None with the artwork on it. Literally just shaving. You know how there's on Old Golden Age, there's like this border of just nothingness, just the paper before the panels of the art starts in the pages. They're selling those shreds of those things for hundreds of dollars. All right, action number 2. Units sold 2, almost $5 million worth. And then we got Fantasy 15. Units sold 52. That's not that many, actually, if you think about it. That's, 1 a week. I mean, it seems like a lot, but, you got your 9 4s and all the way down to your 1 0s. So not that many. Totaling $5.3 million. Wow. I can't believe I guessed every single one. I didn't get them in the right order. I only had to guess 4. But 4 out of every comic book there is. In case you're wondering, I did not look at this list beforehand. All right. I guess you don't have to believe me. Let's see. Anything interesting here? I'm actually surprised Daredevil. I guessed Avengers number 1. Didn't I? No, I only had to guess 4. Why did I say Avengers number 1? I don't have 1. Maybe I thought I had to guess 5. Oh, well. I guess one that wasn't on the list, but I didn't even have to guess. Yeah, I guess Avengers number 1 is not as popular as it used to be. Heavy Hitters, Fallout 4, obviously. Highest sales and variants. Yeah, you got King Spawn. I bet you anything this book goes down over time. There's too many of them compared to as many as thought. These are the variants. I mean, here we go. This one. This is the one I told everyone to buy. It was number 2 on this list. 117 units, $158,000 of this book sold. Number 1 variant on this list is the Ultimate Fallout 4 variant. This is pretty rare. Look, only 38 units sold. Pretty rare, I must say. Rarer than the, it's probably rarer than the Fantasy 15. I don't know. Obviously, if you go on eBay right now, there's probably a handful of copies of this, but there's a ton of Fantasy 15s selling $250,000 worth. That's pretty cool. There's more printing stuff. Here we go. Turtles. Newsstand buy sales. Let's look at the most. Newsstand, you're looking at $250,000. Wrap up. Bunch of stuff. I'm not going to read all this stuff. You can. I think you don't even have to have an account for this, because my account, I don't know what's going on. I have an account. Don't remember the password, right? So I try to log in. I go to forget password. It sends me a link, and every time I click the link, it says, this link is no longer valid. And I'm like, okay. So then I do it again. Same thing. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with the system. So every single time that I have to send out one of these, I do one of these things, I can't log in. So I'm like, whatever. I just make a random account, like make up stuff, and so I can log in because it gives you like a week free. So then it's just like, but it's super annoying. I'm like, they need to fix that. When I send away for my forget password and you send me a link to verify it, make sure that link works. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to like hit them up. I've been trying for the last month and nothing's happened. I haven't hit them up in the last month. I've been trying to log in for last month. But I only come on here to do these reviews and things like that. But yeah, here it is. It's free. You don't have to use any. What is it? Just go to their main page, 2020, 22, 1 year in review. Pretty cool. I talked to the people that write this up. They're very knowledgeable and they do a lot. That's why I like CovrPrice. They do a ton of extra stuff that none of the other sites do. Like definitely the people who run this, and I've talked to them, definitely do it from a point of passion, right? They actually love comic books and they're super into comic books. I can't say the same about the other ones, but yeah, this definitely. But that's just my take of it. I always like this this Spider-Man. Is it Del Auto? I always liked that one. Let's see, did it make the list at some point? I don't think so. Nope. But I always liked that one. I always liked Del Auto. His art is pretty cool. Ribic. Assad Ribic. I love his art too. I don't see too much of his. Jacques is obviously my favorite. Favorite. But anyways, cool. I hope you like this stuff. Kind of long. I kind of rambled. Now I'm going to go eat some food. Have a great day.